Good morning and welcome to Backyard and Beyond. Well, I did have a guest plan to come in today, and she called and said she's losing her voice, and she was sort of losing her voice when I talked to her on the phone. So I'm thinking that at least once a year I talk about decluttering. Hey, this is a good time to talk about decluttering. I think I do that mostly to remind myself of some things that I need to be doing and am working on, but a little motivation to kind of keep on working on it on a somewhat regular basis. But then there are always some major things. Now, most of you probably have your Christmas things, your Christmas decorations put away, but that's sort of a good time to maybe clean out some things and reorganize some things. But so often it happens you get in a hurry, you got another thing to do, and they just get kind of put away and on to the next item. Well, just some kind of general thoughts. You know, there are people who add on to their homes because they run out of space because they have so much stuff. And sometimes that extra space is needed, but it probably would be better to be used as a family time together rather than storing more stuff. So, one expert says that stuff falls into three categories: useful things that are available when needed, useful things that are lost, and lost things that wouldn't be useful even if found. And of course, it's the last two that causes problem in terms of cluttering. Another thought from this person says, in terms of space, a lot of us don't need extra space built on, but we should take a look at our homes and see where there actually is unused space that might be put to good use. In a closet, is there a space under clothes that are hanging? I mean, a big space where you could add another bar and put in a second bar for hanging clothes? Or in a closet or a cupboard, is there a shelf above where things are hanging? And it's a big space, and perhaps another shelf could be added for those off-season things, not just to hide things away, but for things that you know will be used the next season, but you don't need them every day at the present time. So that could be some space that could be better used. Another thought from this person is, and I think this is a really important one, if putting something away properly is not comfortable or easy or the space is available, you're probably not going to put it away. And the example he or she gives is that, why do we just throw our coats down when we come in rather than hanging them up? Well, first of all, there has to be a place to hang them up. And secondly, that has to be easy. If it's in a closet by the door and it's full of empty hangers that get in the way or other stuff that shouldn't be there, again, maybe off-season coats or so on that are cluttering up the space at this point, and there isn't space to hang up a coat easily, the coat probably isn't going to be hung up. And then we just get in the habit of throwing it down wherever. Another place to look for space, of course, is in our attics and basements, but sometimes those are some of our biggest problems because we put stuff in them and then we forgot where they put them. So that was that second category, useful things, but we don't know where they are. So if a person is going to use that kind of space, the best thing to do is to put it in containers and mark the containers, because otherwise what we thought was so useful and we're going to need it, we won't know where it is when we need it. So at least mark that box or container. And other people, there are lots of professionals on cluttering. It seems like that's just a growing professional field, actually. And some of them differ, but most of the basics are the same. And one of the basics is once you've put something into a box and container and you haven't opened it you set the year, 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, whatever that is, you probably can just get rid of the whole box and don't have to go through it again because you've never used the stuff that was in it anyhow. Well, I have to give credit to Better Homes and Gardens. They had an article that included 25 hints on getting decluttered, getting organized, and some of those came from readers and some of those came from professionals. And the first one is that every 3 months or so, and again, you set that time, reserve a time, whether that's a Saturday morning, whatever time, and set a timer for 30 minutes and have each person find things in his or her own space to donate or throw away, and box up the donations and get rid of them right away. A second one is avoid zigzag organizing. Scattering your efforts over multiple rooms prevents you from seeing any progress. So if you want to feel good about getting something done, choose one area and get it done before moving on to the next one, or you just end up having clutter all over the place. And another one is to have a system that's a natural extension of your habits. So look around your home or your office, this could work for your office too, and see where that clutter gathers. And there probably are some areas. At my house, it's next to my chair where the magazines, the mail, and the newspapers all stack up, and sometimes that stack gets pretty high. So I need to keep working on a way not to let that happen. But wherever those things gather, and often they're useful things, provide some kind of storage. It may be as simple as a basket or even a bucket, maybe by the door where everybody comes in. If you have family members that just kind of dump a bunch of stuff, maybe if they had their own container, they could at least dump it in their container and it would be contained rather than going all over. Give frequently assessed papers, sports schedules, phone directories, things that you use, a dedicated spot rather than just a pile on the counter where other things get stuck in that same pile. For some people, a notebook, a 3-hole punch notebook works well. For other people, once that's in the notebook, it sort of disappears, and that's not a good thing either. Create a repair center for clothes and other things that need mending. So if the iPod, I don't know what you might have, that's out of batteries and you don't have those right away, you'd have a place to put it. And if something else needs replacing, something is good, something you're going to use, have a place to put those to be repaired, to be taken care of items, so when you have a moment you can go find that rather than laying it down somewhere else saying, well, I need to do that. One of the biggest problems, I think, is saving things that other people gave us, things that we think have really good meaning to us. But the question is, first of all, do I really love it? Or is it I'm keeping it just because I loved that person, or I would feel guilty getting rid of it? And the second thought about that is, we often then put it away in a box and store it away. Well, is that really respecting that item and that person by putting it into a box and shoving it away somewhere? It might be better to take a picture of it and keep that instead of the item. And then somebody else could enjoy that item also. What about a junk drawer? I think a junk drawer is a great thing to have. At least that way, when you have junk, those little things that you need, but where you put them is maybe the junk drawer. But every once in a while, you need to clean out the junk drawer and get rid of the things that really aren't going to be used, and maybe even have a little organization in the drawer. Maybe if you always keep some pens and pencils, maybe there's a little box you can put in your drawer that organize those all in one place instead of having them scattered throughout the drawer. And then there are things that you're going, I'm never going to use this, so let's get rid of it. And that's a fairly quick one to do, and it'll make that junk drawer really much more usable to you. And the other thing to think about when you're putting things in the junk drawer, is that really where it should be? One of the basic tenets of getting organized is to put things where you use them. And a good example of this is putting garbage bags, empty garbage bags, in the bottom of the garbage container. So you don't have to go somewhere else, open another drawer to get that garbage bag out to replace the one you just took out. They're right there. They don't take up any space, and it's very, very handy. Well, here's another one. If you have kids in your family, make clutter busting a family game. Write tasks on a ping pong ball. Oh, you could choose something else also. Each person chooses a ball, completes the task, and then chooses another. And then after a set time, whether that's 30 minutes or an hour or whatever, whoever has the most balls gets a prize. So get everybody involved. That's really important, is get everybody involved in your household to keeping the clutter from really piling up, and delegate those tasks to get that done. So there's lots more we could think about, but hopefully you've got one idea that'll get you going on decluttering. And in the meantime, here is a thought. Don't think about the cost of doing something. Think about the cost of doing nothing.